First contact and fatal mistake. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the United Earth Embassy on Cathera Prime, watching the violet sun cast strange shadows across the crystalline spires of the alien capital. The sight would have been beautiful if not for the gnawing dread in her stomach. Behind her, the holographic displays showed what the Catheran Science Ministry refused to acknowledge. Their latest stellar mining operation was destabilizing an entire star system. Ambassador Chen, the High Council is ready to receive you, announced her AI assistant, AI, its holographic form shimmering with concern. Sarah straightened her diplomatic uniform and took a deep breath. This would be her fourth attempt to warn the Catherans about their dangerous energy extraction methods. The previous three had been met with dismissive sneers and condescending lectures about humanity's primitive understanding of stellar engineering. The council chamber was a marvel of alien architecture, with sweeping arches that seemed to defy gravity and walls that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. 7 Catheran high counselors sat in their crystalline thrones, their iridescent scales shifting colors in the ambient light. Each of them wore the distinctive neural crowns that marked their status, technology that they never failed to remind humans was centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. High Counselor Vex, their leader, spoke first. His translator rendered his complex harmonics into crisp English. Ambassador Chen, we have reviewed your latest petition. Once again, we find your concerns quaint. Sarah activated her own holographic display, projecting the latest data from Earth's long-range sensors. Honorable Council, our measurements show that your extraction process is creating quantum instabilities in the Nexus 447 star system. The ripple effects cold. Could what? Ambassador, interrupted Counselor Mira, her scales flushing a deep purple of amusement. Your species only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. We have been harvesting stellar energy for millennia. Sarah fought to keep her voice steady. With respect, Counselor, the technology you're using now is different. The quantum vacuum extraction method is orders of magnitude more aggressive than your traditional harvesting techniques. Our simulations show. Your simulations, Vex cut in, are based on your limited understanding of cosmic engineering. We are the Cathera. We shaped stars before your kind had mastered fire. The other counselors chittered in agreement, their scales rippling with patterns that Sarah's cultural training identified as patronizing amusement. She changed tactics, pulling up another hologram, this one showing the delicate quantum web that connected nearby star systems. Look at these readings, she insisted. The quantum filaments connecting Nexus 447 to its neighboring systems are already showing signs of strain. If they snap, then our containment fields will handle any feedback, Vex declared. Ambassador, while we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm for joining the galactic community, you must understand your place. We have managed our energy needs for longer than your civilization has existed. Sarah felt her patience wearing thin. High Counselor, humanity may be young by your standards, but we have learned harsh lessons about tampering with forces we don't fully understand. Our own solar experiments in 2157 nearly. Yes, yes, Mira waved a scaled hand dismissively. The Luna incident, a perfect example of why primitive species should leave stellar engineering to their betters. The council chamber filled with harmonic laughter, a sound that Sarah's translator didn't bother to process. She tried one last time. Please, at least review the data. If we're right, you're not just risking Nexus 447, but potentially your own home system. The quantum filaments. This audience is concluded, Vex announced, his scales now showing patterns of irritation. Ambassador Chen, we suggest you focus on matters more appropriate to your species' level of development. As Sarah left the chamber, she received an urgent message from Earth Command on her neural link. The quantum instabilities in Nexus 447 were growing faster than predicted. Much faster. AI, she subvocalized to her AI assistant, send all our data to Earth Command. And, she hesitated, then added, Begin evacuation preparations for our embassy staff. Quietly. The Ketherans won't like that. Araya responded privately through their neural link. No, Sarah agreed, watching the alien sun cast its violet light across the capital city. But I've got a feeling they're about to learn that ignoring humanity's warnings was a grave mistake. In her mind, she could already see the quantum filaments stretching, straining, beginning to tear. The Ketherans might have shaped stars for millennia, but they had never faced anything like this. Their pride was about to cost them dearly, and Sarah could only hope that when the time came, they would swallow that pride long enough to accept humanity's help. Because if they didn't, their mighty empire would learn the hard way that being older didn't always mean being wiser. Sometimes, the young ones saw the dangers that the old had grown too arrogant to notice. The violet sun pulsed ominously overhead, and somewhere in the quantum web that connected the stars, something began to break. Operation Starforge. Deep within the asteroid belt of Earth's solar system, Project Director Marcus Wong floated in the observation chamber of Starforge Station, watching as automated constructors assembled the final pieces of humanity's most ambitious project. The massive structure before him resembled a mechanical lotus, its petals made of exotic materials that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. Final calibration of the quantum resonators is complete, reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka, her hologram appearing beside him. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Marcus nodded, his eyes fixed on the device that represented humanity's best-kept secret. While the Ketherans dismissed Earth as a primitive newcomer to the galactic stage, they had no idea what humanity had been developing in the shadows of their own system. Status report from the Quantum Observation Network, he asked, bringing up a holographic display of nearby star systems. The destabilization is accelerating. Yuki's hologram showed a simulation of the spreading quantum disturbance. The Ketherans' mining operation has created a cascade effect. The quantum filaments connecting Nexus 447 to surrounding systems are degrading faster than our initial models predicted. Marcus's neural implant pinged with an incoming priority message. Ambassador Chen's face appeared in his mind's eye, her expression grim. They're still not listening, Marcus. The High Council just dismissed our latest warning. Of course they did, Marcus sighed, watching another construction drone add a crucial component to the Starforge array. Pride goes before a fall. As the saying goes, how long until total system failure? Yuki's hologram flickered as she consulted the latest data. At current degradation rates, the quantum filaments will snap within 72 hours. When they do, she didn't need to finish the sentence. They all knew what would happen. Then we stick to the plan, Marcus decided. Continue monitoring the situation. Ambassador, make sure our evacuation preparations are ready. When this goes bad, it's going to go bad fast. The next 2 days passed in a blur of activity. The Starforge array was completed ahead of schedule, its massive petals now fully deployed. Each petal contained technology that the Ketherans would have dismissed as impossible for humanity to achieve if they had known it existed. Marcus remembered the day, 15 years ago, when Earth's scientists had first discovered the true nature of quantum filaments. The Ketherans used brute force to harvest stellar energy, but humanity had found something far more subtle: the ability to manipulate the quantum threads that connected star systems like a cosmic web. The Luna incident hadn't been a failure, as the Ketherans believed. It had been a breakthrough, carefully disguised as a disaster to keep humanity's true capabilities hidden from arrogant eyes. Quantum disturbance reaching critical levels. Yuki's voice cut through his thoughts. The holographic display showed the web of quantum filaments around Nexus 447 stretching to their breaking point. Impact will reach the Kethera home system in approximately 48 hours. Marcus opened a secure channel to Earth Command. This is Project Director Wong, requesting final authorization to activate Project Starforge. The response came instantly. Authorization granted. Good luck, Director. Show them what humanity can do. As Marcus began the activation sequence, he thought about the Ketherans' dismissive attitude toward Earth. They saw humanity as children playing with forces beyond their understanding. They were right about one thing. Humans were playing with forces beyond normal understanding. But what the Ketherans had failed to grasp was that sometimes it took a child's perspective to see solutions that millennia of set thinking had overlooked. Starforge array powered to 30%, Yuki reported. The massive structure began to hum, its pedals shifting to align with invisible quantum currents. Quantum field generator stable, ready to initiate primary sequence. Marcus took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. Either humanity's greatest achievement would save countless lives, or, well, they'd all learned just how right the Ketherans were about humanity's limitations. Begin primary sequence, he ordered. Let's show the galaxy what the newcomers can do. The Starforge array's pedals began to rotate, each movement precisely calculated to manipulate the quantum filaments that the Ketherans had so carelessly strained. Where they had used brute force to harvest energy, humanity would use finesse to prevent disaster. As the array powered up, Marcus received another message from Ambassador Chen. The Ketheran High Council had finally detected the quantum disturbance reaching their home system. Their pride was about to meet reality, and humanity would be ready. They're about to learn, Marcus murmured, watching the Starforge array begin its work, that sometimes the student surpasses the teacher. In the void of space, the mechanical lotus bloomed, its petals dancing with energies that defied conventional physics. Humanity's greatest creation was about to change the galaxy's understanding of what was possible, whether the Ketherans were ready for that change or not. The price of pride. The emergency alarms on Cathera Prime screamed across every frequency. High Counselor Vex stood in the Planetary Defense Center, his scales shifting between patterns of fear and disbelief as he watched the quantum disturbance tear through their carefully maintained network of stellar harvesting systems. Impossible, he whispered, but the data streaming across the holographic displays told a different story. The quantum filaments connecting Nexus 447 to surrounding systems hadn't just snapped, they had shattered, sending devastating ripples through the quantum web that the Ketheran Empire had spent millennia building. Counselor Mira burst into the chamber, her scales a pale shade of terror. The containment fields aren't holding. The feedback is overwhelming our strongest barriers. The massive display showed a visualization of the quantum cascade. Like dominoes falling in slow motion, star system after star system was being affected by the spreading disturbance. And at the end of that chain of falling dominoes lay the Kethera home system, with its billions of inhabitants. How long? Vex demanded. Hours, one of the senior scientists replied, their voice trembling. Our best models show total system collapse within 12 standard hours. The quantum feedback will trigger a chain reaction in our sun. When that happens, the scientist's scales shifted to the deep blue of despair. Vex felt the weight of millennia of Ketheran pride crushing down on him. They had been so certain, so convinced of their superiority. And now, High Counselor, his aide interrupted urgently. We're receiving a transmission from the Earth Embassy. Of course they were. The humans, with their warnings and their concerns, their primitive understanding that had somehow predicted this exact scenario. Vex's scales rippled with shame as he ordered, "Put it through." Ambassador Chen's hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. Her expression was neutral, professional, showing none of the "I told you so" that she had every right to display. "High Counselor," she said formally, "I've been authorized by Earth Command to offer our immediate assistance in containing the quantum cascade." Vex felt the eyes of every Ketheran in the room on him. Their civilization stood on the brink of annihilation because they had dismissed humanity's warnings. Now, survival meant swallowing their pride and accepting help from those they had scorned. What? He forced the words out. What kind of assistance can Earth provide? "We have a device," Sarah replied, "something we call the Starforge array. It's designed specifically to manipulate and stabilize quantum filaments. We believe it can halt the cascade before it reaches your home system." The chamber erupted in disbelieving whispers. Such technology should have been impossible for humanity to develop. Yet here they were, offering their impossible solution, while Ketharan science, the pride of their civilization, failed to stem the disaster. The catch? Vex asked, knowing there had to be one. No catch. Sarah's hologram smiled slightly. Just one condition. From now on, you listen when we warn you about something. We may be young, but we've learned some hard lessons about respecting forces we don't fully understand. A new hologram appeared, showing a massive structure shaped like a mechanical lotus. Data streams indicated energy readings that defied Ketharan understanding of what humans should be capable of achieving. "This is impossible," Mira whispered, her scientist's mind trying to grasp what she was seeing. "Your species, you couldn't have." "The Luma incident," Sarah explained, "wasn't quite what you thought it was. We learned something that day, something that led us to develop a different approach to stellar engineering. While you were dismissing us as primitives, we were preparing for exactly this kind of emergency." Vess's scales shifted through a complex pattern of emotions: shame, fear, hope, and finally, respect. "How soon can your device be deployed?" "It's already operational," Sarah replied. "Project Director Wong is awaiting your authorization to extend the quantum field to your system. But understand this. What we're about to show you will change everything you think you know about humanity's capabilities." The High Counselor looked around the chamber, at the faces of his fellow Ketharans. Their civilization had shaped stars and built quantum networks across vast stretches of space. They had thought themselves the masters of forces beyond comprehension. And now their salvation lay in the hands of a species they had dismissed as children. "Authorization granted," Vex declared, his translator rendering the complex harmonics of formal surrender into simple English. "And Ambassador Chen." "Yes, High Counselor." "We should have listened." As alarms continued to wail across Cathara Prime, humanity prepared to demonstrate just how wrong the old masters of the galaxy had been about their young students. The age of Ketharan superiority was about to end, not with a war or a revolution, but with a lesson in humility taught by those they had refused to respect. Dancing with stars. The Starforge array's petals pulsed with otherworldly energy as Marcus Wong coordinated the most delicate stellar engineering operation in human history. Holographic displays filled the control center, showing the intricate web of quantum filaments that connected the star systems. The damaged strands glowed an angry red, their disruption spreading like cracks in glass. Quantum field extended to Cathara Prime, Dr. Yuki Tanaka reported, her fingers dancing across virtual controls. Field strength at 80% and holding. Beside her, a Ketharan science team watched in stunned silence. They had arrived via emergency transport just hours ago, their scales shifting between patterns of anxiety and fascination as they witnessed technology that should have been centuries beyond human capability. "This is remarkable," Senior Scientist Zix murmured, studying the quantum field readings. "The precision of your manipulations. How did you achieve this level of control?" Marcus allowed himself a small smile as he adjusted the array's resonance frequencies. "We learned to listen to the quantum filaments instead of trying to force them. Your people saw them as power conduits to be harvested. We saw them as parts of a living network." The main display showed the cascade of quantum disruption, approaching the edge of the Starforge's influence. This was the moment of truth. Either humanity's understanding of stellar mechanics would prove correct, or billions would die. "Quantum cascade approaching containment field," Yuki announced. "Impact in 10 seconds." Marcus took a deep breath. "Initiate harmonic sequence alpha. Let's show them how Earth dances with stars." The Starforge array's petals began to move in a complex pattern, each motion precisely calculated to manipulate the quantum filaments at their most fundamental level. Where the Ketharans had tried to bend the universe to their will, humanity had learned to work with it. The cascade hit the quantum field like a tsunami striking the shore. Energy readings spiked across every sensor. The Ketharan scientists' scales flickered with terror as they watched forces powerful enough to tear apart star systems crash against humanity's defensive barrier. But the barrier held. Field integrity at 70%, Yuki reported calmly. Quantum resonance patterns matching predicted models. The cascade is being contained. On the main display, the angry red of the disrupted quantum filaments began to fade where they met the Starforg's influence. The array's petals continued their ethereal dance, each movement helping to calm the cosmic storm. Impossible, Zix whispered, but there was wonder in his voice now, not dismissal. You're not just containing the cascade. You're healing the quantum filaments. Marcus nodded, his attention focused on fine-tuning the array's output. That's the key difference in our approaches. You saw the filaments as resources to be exploited. We saw them as part of a living system that could be nurtured and repaired. The Starforg's quantum field expanded further, its influence reaching deeper into the affected regions of space. Where the field touched, order began to return to the quantum web. The cascade's advance slowed, then stopped, then began to reverse. Quantum cascade contained, Yuki announced triumphantly. Beginning final stabilization sequence. The Ketharan scientists watched in amazement as the Starforge array performed its miraculous work. Their most advanced models hadn't even suggested this kind of manipulation was possible. Yet here were the humans, supposedly primitive newcomers to galactic civilization, demonstrating mastery over forces that the Ketharans had never truly understood. The Luma incident, Zix said suddenly, his scales showing patterns of dawning comprehension. That wasn't a failure at all, was it? It was your first successful test of this technology. We learned something important that day, Marcus replied, watching as the quantum filaments slowly healed under the Starforg's influence. Sometimes the best way to handle great power isn't to grasp it tightly, but to work with it gently. Your people have been trying to conquer the stars for millennia. We chose to befriend them instead. Hour by hour, the Starforge array continued its work. The quantum cascade that had threatened to destroy the Ketharan civilization was gradually tamed, transformed from a destructive force into a manageable phenomenon. Throughout the operation, the Ketharan scientists watched and learned, their understanding of the universe shifting as they witnessed humanity's approach to stellar engineering. Director Wong, Yuki called out, final readings confirm quantum stability has been restored to all affected systems. The crisis is over. A collective sigh of relief filled the control center. The Ketharan scientists' scales rippled with patterns of gratitude and respect, emotions they had never expected to feel toward humanity. We owe you a debt we can never repay, Zix said formally, his scales showing the deep green of sincere humility. Our civilization survived because yours saw what we were too proud to see. Marcus turned to face the Ketharan scientist, seeing in his eyes the beginning of a new understanding between their species. Then help us build something better, he offered. Not as teachers and students, but as equals. There's so much more we could accomplish together. As the Starforge array's petals slowly came to rest, its work completed, the gathered humans and Ketharans looked out at the stars with new eyes. The quantum filaments that connected their systems now held the promise not just of power, but of partnership. A new dawn. 1 year after the quantum cascade crisis, Ambassador Sarah Chen stood once again in the Ketharan High Council chamber. But this time, everything was different. The crystalline walls still pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, but the atmosphere had changed. Where once there had been condescension, now there was respect. Where there had been dismissal, now there was attention. The chamber had been modified to accommodate the new reality. Beside the 7 Ketharan seats, an equal number of chairs had been added for human representatives. Today would mark the first official meeting of the Joint Stellar Conservation Council, an organization that would have been unthinkable just a year ago. Fellow council members, High Counselor Vex began, his scales showing patterns of formal welcome. We gather today to celebrate not just our survival, but the birth of a new era in galactic civilization. Sarah watched as Project Director Marcus Wong, and Dr. Yuki Tanaka took their seats among the human representatives. The Starforge Array's success had earned them places at this historic table. Beside them sat the Ketharan scientists who had witnessed humanity's achievement firsthand, including senior scientist Zix, whose scales now showed the deep blue-green of wisdom gained through humility. The quantum cascade crisis taught us many things. Vex continued, his translator rendering his harmonics with perfect clarity. It showed us that age does not always equal wisdom, that pride can blind us to truth, and that those we dismissed as children often see what we have forgotten how to see. The holographic displays activated, showing the restored quantum web that connected their star systems. The angry red of the cascade was gone, replaced by the steady blue pulse of healthy quantum filaments. But now there was something new. A network of Starforge arrays, built through joint human-Ketharan cooperation, standing guard over the most critical nodes of the quantum web. In the past year, Sarah addressed the council. Our species have accomplished more together than either of us achieved in centuries of working separately. The new quantum monitoring network has already prevented 3 potential cascades. Our combined research into stellar engineering has opened paths that neither of our civilizations had imagined. Zix's scales rippled with agreement. The human approach to working with quantum filaments, rather than exploiting them, has revolutionized our understanding of stellar mechanics. Meanwhile, our experience with long-term stellar manipulation has helped refine the efficiency of the Starforge technology. The displays shifted to show their latest joint project, a massive stellar nursery where both species worked together to nurture new stars into existence. It was a perfect symbol of their new partnership, the Ketharan's ancient knowledge combined with humanity's innovative perspective. But perhaps the most valuable lesson, Vex said, his scales showing patterns of deep reflection, was learning that true strength lies not in dominating the forces of nature, but in understanding them. Our people shaped stars for millennia, yet we never truly listened to them. Humanity, in its youth, heard what we had forgotten how to hear. Sarah smiled, remembering the dismissive attitudes she had faced in this very chamber a year ago. And we learned that youth and innovation must be tempered with experience and wisdom. Together, we're stronger than either of us could be alone. The council chamber filled with harmonious agreement from both species. The displays showed their joint achievements: restored star systems, stabilized quantum filaments, and new technologies that merged the best of both civilizations' approaches. Therefore, Vex announced, the Ketharan Empire formally proposes the establishment of the Galactic Stellar Conservation Treaty. Under this agreement, all stellar engineering projects will be conducted with joint oversight, combining Ketharan experience with human insight. The vote was unanimous. As the treaty was formally ratified, Sarah caught Marcus's eye across the chamber. They had done more than save a civilization. They had changed the course of galactic history. Later, standing at the observation deck where she had once watched with dread, Sarah observed the violet sun of Kethera Prime. Its light now played across not just crystalline spires, but also the elegant curves of human architecture that had been added to the capital city. Below, Ketharans and humans moved together through the streets, scales and skin alike reflecting the alien sunlight. Quite a change from last year, Marcus said, joining her at the window. Hard to believe they once thought we were primitive newcomers who couldn't possibly understand stellar engineering. Sarah smiled. Sometimes it takes a crisis to bring out the best in people, human or Ketharan. They needed to be reminded that there's always something new to learn, no matter how old you are. And we learned that sometimes the old stories have value, Marcus added. Their ancient knowledge of the stars, combined with our fresh perspective, it's a powerful combination. Beyond the window, the violet sun continued its eternal dance, its light falling equally on human and Ketharan alike. The quantum filaments that connected the stars pulsed with healthy energy, maintained now not through force but through understanding. And in labs and stations throughout both civilizations, scientists of both species worked together, learning from each other, growing stronger together. The age of Ketharan superiority was over. But something better had taken its place. An era of true partnership, where the wisdom of age and the insight of youth worked hand in hand to forge a better future. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if approving of this new harmony between the old masters and the young innovators who had learned to dance with them.